Back to Sales Made Easy, the podcast where my goal is to make sales easier for you, but also easier for the prospect, right? If we go through that old adage of, hey, we're out to sell refrigerators to Eskimos or ice to Eskimos, that's not the job. The job is to help people, right? And see if you can improve their efficiency, improve their life, improve what they're doing. If you can't, get out of the way because you're not really selling. You're only hurting yourself in the long run. But a lot of people have asked me, how did I get where I was? And it's a long road, obviously, with my age. But we really think about it. Um, when I first started, if I could save you the trouble I went through, because I was one of those guys that got along with everybody through college. Everybody else, I made friends. I was the person that put groups together. Even to this day, in golfing, I'll try to corral groups and play together and what have you. And my parents always told me, "Hey, Tom, you'd make a great salesperson because you make friends with everybody." And so when I got out of college, I said, "Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll be a salesperson." I thought it was a natural place to go. Unfortunately, uh, my sales manager then was a great sales manager. Lots of lesson. Um, I think the only lesson he gave me was, here's your business cards. Scratch my name out, put your name on there, and go get them. That was about it. They didn't have training in those days. You either made it or you didn't make it. And I always thought it was about making friends. Unfortunately, it took me a while to find out that I had a lot of friends and no money. Nobody was buying from me, but they loved me. And probably one of the reasons they loved me is because I wouldn't even ask for an order, right? So what I quickly found out was that making friends cost me more money than making enemies. Um, you know, Grain of salt with everything. It's not about making enemies, but making friends cost me money. Uh, Finding out who my enemies were, and what I mean by enemies is the people that really were never going to buy from me, really never going to help me. In fact, they might have been using me to get a price so they can beat up their other competitor, but they would never had any consideration for me. So, if you think about it, one of the things I learned along the way is that making friends didn't do it for me, even though I still want to make friends with you, right? And once you're a customer, I want to be a friend of yours. But I also found out that even as customers, I'm more a partner than I am a friend. I got to tell you the truth, and sometimes friends don't want to hurt your feelings, so they don't tell you the truth. And to me, a salesperson's job is telling people the truth. So that would be one lesson I'd learned. Next lesson is that uh, you really have to um, go out and pursue things. Don't wait for that phone to ring. Um, you got to go out and get stuff. And if you're waiting for that phone to ring and you're waiting for referrals, you're going to have that normal roller coaster ride of sales, which you don't want. So you got to have some sort of system where you're always looking for business. I tell people today that entrepreneurs or people in a small business where they might have one or two salespeople, I even tell the owners then, hey, 60% of your time needs to be focused on selling. Because if you don't have that marketing engine and sales engine going, you're going to be in trouble. So, how much are you focusing on new business? And the other thing is, I learned that an unearned sale was trouble. And what I mean by an unearned sale, have you ever had one of those where the sale came easy? It was no big deal. Boy, it just popped in there. Every time I got one of those, I got bit in the butt, right? I found out your credit was no good, or the check never cleared the bank, right? Or I worked hard thinking I was going to get the business. I was told I was going to get the business, and then I never got the business. And I found out that every time I was told I was going to get the business, or someone signed a contract, and we really didn't find out why you would want to do business with me. We really didn't uncover that, right? Or why you needed whatever product was I selling. Whenever I sold somebody that I never uncovered that, it always backfired one way or the other. I didn't find out why you needed something. So guess what? When the check came in, it never cleared the bank, or the check never came, or they bought and they got mad at me because I really didn't need what I was selling them. It didn't fit and it didn't help in the way they thought it would. So an unearned sale will get you in trouble. So be careful of that. The other thing is, I think I really learned how to sell when I got rid of something. And what I got rid of was my ego, right? Because as a young salesperson, unlike everybody else, we had an ego, and I'd be walking in with 5 or 6 other salespeople around, and I'd go, "Hey, everything's fine. Good, great day today." When it was a terrible day, right? Nobody talked to me, or I lost the sale, or the person I wanted to talk to wouldn't see me. But I'd walk in that office and go, "Everything's fine. Wonderful. We're in a great day. What a great month this is." And I knew I wasn't going to make my numbers. And it wasn't until I got rid of that ego, the ego that was preventing me from walking in that office and saying, "A terrible week. This guy ghosted me. This guy, I thought I had a sale, he didn't." If I would have opened up sooner and told those people that have been selling for years, I got caught here, those people would have helped me. They would have said, "Hey, look, why don't you call him up and say this to him? Why don't you do this?" Because we've all been in this boat. We've all had that happen to us. And this is what we do. So get rid of your ego if you're young and new in sales. And the second part of that is it's okay to fail. You don't learn from success. If you went out and the first 3 knocks on doors you got sales, you'd be in trouble because you'd think it was that easy. So go ahead and fail. But learn from the failure. Failure is good. It teaches us. This is how we learn. I mean, think about it. When you were in school, if you got an A on your paper, you go, "Hey, I got an A. Great. Boom." But if you got a D or C or an F, majority of you would have sat there and said, "Why did I get a C? Why is that wrong?" And you learned, right? That's the beauty of it. Teachers gave you that F and says you failed. When in reality, they should make that F in gold and say, "Here's your opportunity to learn." Because then you sit there and go, "Okay, how is that wrong? Oh, now I understand it." See, if we had proper teachers, when we got a C or a D or an F, we took that paper and we figured out, why did we get this grade? It didn't make sense. But when you got an A, you didn't even look at it. It's the same thing in today's world. When you fail, you will learn. When you don't fail, you don't. So don't worry about failure. Failure is good. So here's what I want you to think about. Couple of simple rules if you're getting out there. Number 1, get your ego out of the way. Number 2, your job is not to make friends. That doesn't mean they can't like you, but your job is to tell the truth, right? And the truth might be, hey, you might not need me today, but you might in the future. And number 3, it's okay to fail. Go out there and fail. Fail every day. I keep a journal, and I have this journal on a daily basis. And I journal every day what I failed and what I learned. So keep that journal. I call it bagels. If you want more information on bagels, email me, tom@salesmadeeasy.com. This is the podcast, tom@salesmadeeasy. Please email me, hit subscribe, listen to the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.